So you're thinking about moving to Kansas City, but you want to know the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, before you make that move to Kansas City. You know, living in Kansas City, we've been here for so many years now. We actually moved back permanently in 2000. Before then, we had a short stint in Tulsa and Dallas, but we loved coming back. We actually lived at the Lake of the Ozarks for a short time there as well. But now we're back in Kansas City, and we've been raising our kids and our grandkids as well. We love Kansas City, not only for just the education system, but in terms of the sports teams and the barbecue, of course. There's so many pros, but then there's also some cons. And so you definitely want to make sure that you stay on for this whole entire video so you can see the pros and the cons. That way you can make the decision what's best for you if you're making that move to Kansas City, because living in Kansas City can be a lot of fun, especially when you know the pros and cons. And so with that, we're going to get started and get after it right now. So if this is your first time on our channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Kansas City and the surrounding areas, then make sure that you subscribe below, tap the bell so you can get all the notifications and stay up to date with the current market in Kansas City. And so my name is Jimmy Zell. My wife Nikki and I are part of the Living in Kansas City team. And every single day we get phone calls and messages from people just like you and you and you. And so whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, make sure you reach out to us. All of our information is in the description box below. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to Kansas City. Today, we're gonna talk about the pros and cons of Kansas City. So let's get started. So I wanna go ahead and start off with the cons first. Yeah, let's get the negative out of the way because there's so many pros. But the first con is the weather. See, if you don't like all 4 seasons, you're not gonna necessarily like Kansas City. Here's the thing, in the winter months, it can get brutally cold here, you know, especially if you have to get out in it. I mean, sometimes we get, even this winter, we got into the negative temperatures. We do get some snow, not as much as maybe some of the northern states, but we definitely get some snow. But here, when it comes into spring or even sometimes in the fall, we also have tornadoes. We also get tornadoes here and tornado warnings all the time. And so we're in Tornado Alley, and that's not to scare you, but just know that we also have tornadoes. Okay, so the weather is a big deal, but then the summer it can get really hot, and because we're in the Midwest and we have a lot of lakes, it gets very humid here as well. Now the spring and the fall, if you can get to those, and you just love that, I tell you, it is absolutely gorgeous here. That cool 70s, 80s, or really 60s, 70s. I love that weather here in the spring and the fall in Kansas City. And if you can get through the winter and you get through the summer, you'll love it here. But definitely one of the cons is that we're all the seasons are here in Kansas City. Muggy summers, cold winters, all that kind of stuff. But if you can get through that, you'll love it here in Kansas City. So that's the first con. Another con for Kansas City is that it's landlocked. Yeah, we don't back up to or border mountains or the ocean or the beaches. And so we are definitely landlocked. We're really in the heart of America. Now there's lots of lakes here, so that's a pro. But reality is this: if you're coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, get used to it. When we say there's a beach, it's typically at a lake, so that that definitely doesn't count. It's, especially for someone like me, I love the beach. But we're landlocked, and so you get used to it. There's lots of trails and hiking and things like that. But definitely a con is that we are a landlocked city. The good thing about Kansas City, though, too, is that we are, fairly close to other, just north of us is Omaha, and a little bit further north is Des Moines. Then to the east of us is St. Louis. South, of course, you can get down to Oklahoma. So we border 4 states, but we are definitely landlocked. On the west side of us, you've got Colorado. One other thing too is not only we're landlocked, but it's very flat here. So just get used to that as well. We of course have some hills, but nothing like the mountains or the beaches that some of you may be used to if you're relocating and moving here to Kansas City, right? So that's another con. We're definitely a landlocked city, and you'll just have to get used to it if you move here to Kansas City. Another big con that Kansas City has is that there is no transportation from the downtown area to the suburbs, okay? And so everybody here, you're probably gonna have to get a car. We have something coming in 2025 called the streetcar system, but that's more for downtown, but it's still not a major transit system going from downtown to the suburbs, both on the Missouri and the Kansas side. So just make sure that you plan for that. Either you're going to make sure you have a car so you can get around the city, or if you're just going to live downtown, of course, you can take Ubers and taxis and all that kind of stuff downtown, or biking. There's a lot of those. A lot of people that bike downtown as well if they live downtown. But if you're trying to get to the suburbs back and forth, you're definitely going to need a car. But just because we don't have a transportation system from the city to the suburbs. And same thing for if you're working in Lawrence, you're definitely going to have a car, because once again, there's no transportation out to Lawrence, Kansas as well. And so just keep that in mind. That is definitely one of the cons for Kansas City, transportation. Now, the great thing about transportation, though, even though it's a con, is that the traffic isn't too bad here. So you'll get used to it. I mean, compared to other big cities, we definitely don't have the traffic issues that they may have. And so it's still a con though, because once again, there's no major transportation from this downtown city area to our suburbs. Now that we got all the cons out of the way, let's talk about the pros, because there's a bunch of really, really good ones. First things first is that we have an incredible job market in Kansas City. Some of the biggest employers that we have here are like Garmin, Hallmark, Burns McDonnell, the University of Kansas Health System, the Dairy Farmers of America, H&R Block. So we've got a lot of big companies, the incredible workforce here. Our unemployment rate actually is usually about a whole percentage, 1% lower than the national average. So that kind of tells you something. And we've been ranked like the second best city in the country for finding a job as well. So plenty of jobs, very educated population here. And so the job market is a great one if you're looking for a job. You should be able to get a job here, in Kansas City. And because Kansas City is split between the Missouri and the Kansas side, lots of different employers. We even have more and more moving in. And so more and more jobs are being created because of it's being, one of our cities, actually one of the top cities to live in the country. And you'll see that in our video, Overland Park. So be on the lookout for that video as well in our channel. All right, so job market, absolutely very, very strong. That's definitely a pro for Kansas City. Another pro that we have is that our cost of living is actually 6% lower than the national average. And that's huge, because your dollar just goes so much further here. Now, if you're moving from the East Coast or the West Coast, know this, you're gonna love it here. Your homes there, when you sell them and you come here, you can get so much more home. And we constantly will see people, have $million homes on the East and West Coast that come to Kansas City, and it just goes so much further here. And, and you get just so much more space, more square footage. And so the cost of living here is awesome. We've raised our kids here, and being able to go out and eat, have lots of entertainment, those kind of things, your lifestyle can just go so much further. Because if you ever travel outside of Kansas City, which we do a lot, and you go to the East Coast, West Coast, you definitely know the gas is higher, food prices are higher, right? Eating out is higher, whereas Kansas City still has that small Midwest feel, right? But very progressive as well. But definitely the cost of living is an absolute pro for Kansas City. Now, one of my favorite pros is that we are known for our barbecue. Yes, world-class, world-famous barbecue. Some people say it's the very best in the world. I would agree with them. Over 100 restaurants actually offer barbecue. And one of the things about barbecue in Kansas City is, we've got some really famous ones, from Kansas City Joe's to Q39 to Casey Masterpieces here. You've got Jack Stacks. So these are some of my favorite ones, and so many more too. I should have probably not started listing them all. But know this, we also have huge contests here. Our American Royal World Series of Barbecue is here, as well as the Great Lenexa Barbecue Battle, so barbecue competitions. Most people, when they think of Kansas City, besides maybe fountains and some of the sports teams, they also think, of course, barbecue. And we are definitely in no shortage of some of the best barbecue in the country. So that is definitely a pro. If you love barbecue, you're gonna love Kansas City. Go out and try them all. You'll see us in our full tour blog in some of these places as well. And because I love to eat, and especially barbecue. And so you're gonna love it. So many good places to pick for barbecue. So that's definitely a pro for us. Another pro that we have is the culture Kansas City has. It's a thriving culture scene. You've got festivals, you've got concerts, you've got art galleries, you've got a very rich jazz heritage here. You've got the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, the World War I Memorial. Kansas City's just known for so much culture and diversity. And so one of the things that I love about Kansas City is that on any given weekend or throughout the week, there's so many things to do. The metropolitan surrounding area is about 2.2 million, but there's still a lot of things to do here. And the culture here is amazing, and it's a diverse culture too. I'll give you an example. I'm Filipino, and one of the things that we like to go to is the big Asian, Heritage Month. They have a big event at near Swope Park, and it's massive. And so, things like that. I mean, lots of fun things to do from a culture standpoint. And of course, food's a big deal. We have a very large Hispanic population here as well. And so if you're into, one of the big pros for Kansas City is that we have a very diverse culture on both sides, Kansas and Missouri side. And you'll find that there's never really a shortage of cultural events going on and diversity going on inside the city as well. So that's definitely a pro for Kansas City. One of the other big pros that I really like about Kansas City is really the Midwestern hospitality. One of the things I always tell people is that people in the Midwest, especially Kansas City, they're just so much more friendlier. Now, I'm not saying, because I know some of you will be coming from the East Coast or the West Coast to come here, the big cities, maybe like Chicago, or, but just know this, that people are definitely, they have that Midwestern hospitality feel. People will let you actually come into their lane, when there's a construction, things like that. And then, you go out into the countryside, and of course, everybody's waving at you when you pass them. I mean, it's just a different feel. It's definitely a little slower paced than the East Coast and West Coast as well. And so if you like that, if you're, whether you like it or not, that's kind of where we are. But if you like that, you'll really like it. But if you're coming from those other parts of the country that are very fast paced, you may also realize it's just a little slower here in Kansas City. But definitely the Midwestern hospitality is here in Kansas City, and that's a big pro for us as well. And another pro is that we have very quick commute times. Once again, we have a population of about 2.2 million people, but did you know that we are the 5th shortest commute time for its size? I mean, it is very fast to get from even the suburbs to downtown, or get from the suburbs to your job. I've been to bigger cities like Chicago and Dallas and LA, and the commute times are absolutely horrendous. So you won't have as much windshield time if you're having to commute to work here. Literally even the busiest times, unless there's a big ice storm or snowstorm, then it can be pretty treacherous. And the good thing is we've got a big loop around Kansas City, the 435 loop. And of course, lots of interstate and highways that can take you straight into, where you need to go, plus also take you to the airport, depending on where you're at as well. Very easy to get to those places. And so the short commute is definitely a pro for Kansas City. All right, and our final pro is our sports teams. And listen, I'm gonna brag a little bit about our sports teams. Especially living here in Kansas City, we have some great ones. Let's start off with the Super Bowl champs, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're a sports fan, or if you move to Kansas City, maybe we can convert you to becoming a Chiefs fan. Of course, we're very proud of the Chiefs and how they've been playing. 3 Super Bowls lately, and time of this video, and more to come. And so very exciting times. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs, we've got the Kansas City Royals. We also have here, if you don't know this, we also have the women's soccer team here, the Current. And they're here now. They're down at the riverfront, so that's awesome. Brand new stadium for them as well. The National Women's Soccer League with the Current here. And then we also have the Mavericks, which is like the Eastern Hockey League, I think is what it's called. And so we have them as well. And so sports is a big thing in Kansas City. We love our sports. Of course, the Royals have been champs before. And so, the Chiefs definitely are the ones that fill the stadium and are the big thing here in Kansas City. And so that is a major, major pro. So if you come to Kansas City, if you start living here, you move to Kansas City, just know this, we're going to try to convert you to be one of our Chiefs fans as well. All right. And so hopefully this video helped you out, everybody. These are what I believe are some of the, we start with the cons first, and then we end with the pros, and so many pros. We love living in Kansas City. All of our family, we're very fortunate our family is here. Our grandkids are here. We've got deep roots inside of our community here. And so we just love Kansas City for everything that I just shared with you. And so if you're looking to make the move, whether it's in 9 days or 9 months here to Kansas City, make sure that you connect with us. All of the information is in the description box below. You can email us, you can call us, or of course you can schedule a Zoom. But definitely connect with us. We'll get your questions answered. We'll help you make that smooth move to Kansas City. So I hope this video helps you out. The pros and cons, the good and the bad of Kansas City. Definitely the pros outweigh the cons. And hopefully that, we'll see you around town. All right. So with that, have an amazing day, everybody. And we'll see you around town.